why this is a huge diplomatic coup and an achievement for India. Number one, this was India's platform. India, the platform for that first US-Russia contact since the Ukraine war began. Number two, it validates India's pragmatic neutrality on the Russia-Ukraine conflict. It's something that India faced a lot of flack for in the last year, but we stand vindicated. Number three, it silences critics of India's neutrality on the Russia-Ukraine conflict. And there have been many critics, both foreign and here in India. They stand silenced today. This boosts India's Vishwaguru stature as perhaps a global peacemaker. And this is a huge vindication of India's foreign policy and diplomacy from the Prime Minister's office and the External Affairs Ministry. The big questions we're asking though, because remember this is a complicated issue, it's not black and white. Question number one, has India, by facilitating this meeting between Secretary Blinken and Foreign Minister of Russia, Sergei Lavrov, has India set the ball rolling towards a diplomatic solution to the Ukraine war? Number two, does India deserve global gratitude for being the platform where Blinken, Lavrov have made this very valuable contact? Doesn't Lavrov-Blinken contact on Indian soil humiliate India's critics who've been pointing fingers at our neutrality? Number four, has India demonstrated diplomatic success through its neutrality, which everyone had so much of a problem about? And finally, is India a shining example now in a deeply polarized world that the era of war is over, this has to be an era of peace? Geeta Mohan, our Foreign Affairs editor, is live with us from Delhi. Gaurav Sawant has also been tracking very closely what's been happening at the G20. Geeta, like you rightly said in that report, not just a global player, but a global peacemaker. No exaggeration in saying that this was a big diplomatic achievement, even on India's side, that it was here on Indian soil that this 10-minute contact, the first since the Ukraine war began, actually took place between US and Russia.
Absolutely, Shiv. Taking you back a little, External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar not so very long ago had said that in one of his meetings with the Ukrainians, they actually had sent a message for the Russians through him. So becoming a mediator, playing a role where this neutrality is helping, and that's why nobody's complaining, is helping in ensuring that at least there is contact. We're talking about contact here, however brief it is. The fact that Blinken and Lavrov, after sparring inside the room during the first session, actually went ahead and met. And if it were the Russian side that wanted a meeting, then one would have known that the West is still not going to connect with Russia. It was Antony Blinken's office that reached out to Lavrov's office saying they want a contact, a brief conversation. Whatever the content of that conversation, Shiv, the fact is that on Indian soil, on neutral ground, it is Russia and the United States of America that found space and time to make some headway.
It's incredible. And you know, Gaurav, I don't want to over-exaggerate things because there's a long way off before a resolution to the Ukraine crisis. But what India has achieved here, I don't want to downplay it either. And at one level, Gaurav, in the last 1 year, and remember both Gaurav and Geeta have reported from Ukraine. They've seen that war firsthand. They've seen the fallout of that war firsthand. So they're in the best possible position to comment on it. Gaurav, all those people who were taking pot shots at India's pragmatic neutrality, they're completely silent today.
They absolutely are. India's strategic neutrality, the fact that India is very close both to the United States of America and to Russia, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi enjoys a very close personal equation with President Putin and with the American leadership, that goes on to indicate the respect that India gets. Because when India, whether we mediate or we facilitate, the fact remains it's on Indian soil. The first time after this conflict started, the Americans and the Russians have spoken. The fact that they've spoken is actually one step forward. Will it be one step forward towards peace? We'll perhaps know. And then there is a lot of time, still 6 months to go for the summit, and one hopes perhaps by the summit in September there would be forward movement. The fact that tensions can be dialed down is the main thing. That spring offensive, if that offensive can be postponed, if loss of life can be prevented, then negotiation is the best way forward.
Yes.
You know, main thing is to ensure lives are not lost, Whether that happens through this dialogue or this paves the way for more dialogue, all eyes will be on that, Shiv.
Geeta and Gaurav, keep tracking this story because it's clearly not over. It's going to have many more reactions coming forward. Those who had criticized India's neutrality are going to be silent today. But India's diplomacy, foreign policy and strength has been borne out today by this very brief 10-minute diplomatic breakthrough. I don't want to downplay it, I don't want to overplay it, but hopefully let's see if it can be the first step towards a larger diplomatic solution, because that's what the world needs at this time.